On this episode of On Tap, we visit Bent Brewstillery and learn about their unique vision to blend brewing and distilling.
And we meet the Brewmaster behind Founders Brewing Company to hear how his beers have become some of the most sought-after annual releases.
Finally, the crew at Gabe's Rinkside Bar and Grill shares their vision for a one-of-a-kind sports bar.
We're here for another episode of On Tap here on North Metro TV. I'm Ben Hale, joined by Danica Peterson, and we are here at the beautiful Gabe's Rinkside Bar and Grill in Blaine for today's episode. And what are you drinking, Danica, to start off today?
I have an Excelsior Brewing Company Big Island Blonde in honor of summer and the gorgeous weather.
And I have the Widowmaker Black Ale from the Keweenaw Brewing Company, which is up in Houghton, Michigan. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. First thing I've had from them.
Known as KBC to the locals.
An expert here in the locals.
Well, as always on episodes of On Tap, we're gonna take a look at a local brewery. And on this episode, we visited Bent Brewstillery in Roseville. They merge brewing and distilling, making them a very unique place to visit.
On a quiet industrial street in Roseville sits Bent Brewstillery.
Tell me your story. How did you come from your first idea to where we are today?
Well, starting out back in, I guess it was around 2007, my wife bought me a Mr. Beer kit. I thought it would be a great idea. Her sister actually suggested it because her father-in-law had one and loved it. She had no idea it would turn into something like this, but it did. It quickly consumed my entire life. I was brewing all the time. I was upgrading to all grain kits, and already right away had dreams of owning my own brewery.
But shortly after his dream was born, it quickly fizzled out.
I think it was around early 2009 when Fulton announced that they were opening up. I actually said, dang it, I'm too late. If I can't be one of the first few, I didn't want to do it, so I just scrapped it.
And then a new hobby changed the game.
Then I picked up a book on distilling, and I was like, now this is cool. This is a lot of fun. So played around with that a good bit, and then determined that if I could open up a brewstillery, I'd be the only one in Minnesota.
A new business plan was born, and Bartley became the owner of the first brewstillery in the state.
My business plan was twofold. To start out with contract brewing with a local microbrewery in order to make large batches to get to restaurants and bars and liquor stores, as well as having my own tiny space, maybe 2,000 square feet, where I would have my own small equipment and my own small tap room. I found a local microbrewer before I found my own place, and we just started talking. It was a company called Poor Decisions, located here in this space. Close to the end of 2013, we had been brewing beer together, had several batches done, and they approached me and said, hey, why don't we merge?
That happened in January of 2014.
We closed down the little tap room that was here at the time and started construction of the new tap room, and also construction of the distillery side. Around, I guess it was August, middle of August, when we finally had everything up and running, and August 21st we opened up to the public. So we still have less than a year under our belt here, but we have been brewing and distributing large batches of beer since 2013.
With the building complete, they can now focus their efforts on the beverages.
We've got a 20-barrel brew house. It's a little over 600 gallons. Our fermenters are 40-barrel, so we brew 2 batches to fill up a fermenter. Right now, we only have 2 year-round beers, but we have a whole lot of special seasonals and things like that that come out occasionally. We do a lot of sour beers, which is more of a cliquish type thing. They're not mainstream yet, but they're growing quite rapidly in popularity. They're very tart, very attenuated, very dry for the most part, and to me it's just a phenomenal beer style. On tap now we probably have 7 or 8 different types of beer we've made throughout the history of Bent Brewstillery. Probably 15 or 16 different types of beer, maybe even more, because we do a lot of one-off, single batch type things. We throw a lot of spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks. Right now, Nordic Blonde and More are our 2 year-round beers, and we are basically at capacity with just those 2.
Their cans are hand-labeled, and their brews are delivered to more than 100 locations in Minnesota.
We're really close to both downtowns, either St. Paul or Minneapolis. We are within the 694 or 494 loop, yet we are in the suburbs. So, it's the good and the bad. It's very difficult to find our place because of the lack of signage, and we are kind of at the end of this warehouse row. But those that are really, committed to finding it, always find it. Also, Google places us perfectly. If you zoom in close enough, you'll see exactly where we are, and you'll know where you're at. Once you get down this far and you see the patio, most people make the assumption, oh, that must be it. And now that it's summer, we'll have the garage doors open, and you'll drive by and you'll see a bar, tap handles, and people drinking beer, and you'll know you're in the right spot.
What makes them truly unique in an area with dozens and dozens of breweries is that they also distill their own spirits.
We make a Navy strength gin, very botanical heavy. Use 14 different botanicals in this gin, and it's the only product that we have right now on the market. We've got set for release in the next 6 weeks, I hope, depending upon all the approvals that we need from the federal government in order to release a new product. It's Irish style poutine. Poutine is like an Irish moonshine. Okay. It's been illegal in Ireland since 1661, just because it's so powerful. Ours isn't quite that powerful, and it's a little bit more flavorful as opposed to just being strong for the sake of being strong. But I'm working with the Anchor Fish and Chips in Northeast. They have a huge volume of French fry production, hence the chips part of their name. They peel their own potatoes. Well, I take their peels, ferment that with some molasses, and distill that, and it actually comes out to be a very, very unique product. It's like a cross between a full-bodied potato vodka and a nice sweet rum. So it's a very, very unique flavor, and it's a whole new classification. Actually, the federal government doesn't have a classification for it. I can't call it vodka because I don't distill it at a high enough proof. Sure. And I can't call it rum because it's not 100% sugarcane. So just kind of somewhere in the middle.
Bartley is also experimenting with some new products.
I've also experimented with a rum that I can't call rum because we make it out of local Minnesota sugar beets. Again, it's not sugar cane, so we can't call it rum, but it's Minnesota sugar and Minnesota sugar beet molasses. So we're toying around with calling it rum with a silent N, RUMN, Minnesota rum.
In fact, he says, you can distill just about anything, something he demonstrated on his first batch.
I had just gotten my official license to distill from the state of Minnesota, and I didn't have anything prepared. I was like, I gotta distill today. I got to. I finally got my license so I can go at it. Well, I ran around the brewery. I found about 7 cases of a double IPA, ran that through my little experimental still, came out phenomenal. Just subtle notes of the hops came through, and it turned out great. I was surprised. So I found another 450 gallons of it, distilled that, and now that's aging. And we're toying with calling that a double IPA ski. But again, federal government gets involved and says, well, a whiskey has to be all grains. You can't have hops in it and call it whiskey. So, if I'm not mistaken, they're making us call it a specialty distilled spirit with natural flavors added. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, that doesn't market quite as well.
It doesn't, right. I mean, it makes it a little bit more challenging. So that's one of the whiskeys that we have aging right now.
If you visit the tap room, you can't buy gin, neither by the glass nor the bottle due to state laws. But Bartley is more than happy to introduce patrons to new beers and new flavors.
I get this a lot. I don't really like beer. What do you suggest? Well, I got 3 choices for you, actually.
What are they?
Nordic Blonde is one.
Okay.
It's a normal beer, just one that has flavor, made by hand. We also have the sour beers, which are very dry and very attenuated, and they have kind of a little bit of a wine type feel to them, or champagne even. We also make it rotates, but right now what we have on tap is a beer that tastes like a combination of Chardonnay and Riesling.
Yes, we were looking at the menu on the drive down, and I couldn't pronounce all the words in it, but
Right, I know it took me forever to get Gewürztraminer down.
right, that's the one.
It's a fermentation of orange blossom honey and Gewürztraminer grapes. So it's made with the same type of stuff you would make wine out of.
But it's a beer.
But it is a beer. We use just enough grains in there to technically call it a beer, yet it tastes like wine. So that's a big hit. People love that one. They can't believe that it's actually beer.
And he loves encouraging people to keep an open mind.
Well, I don't like dark beers. That's the first thing I give you.
A dark beer.
One of our dark beers. A lot of people have misconceptions about dark beers. Everyone thinks dark beers are really, all of them are really heavy or really bitter, or they just have these misconceptions based on the fact that they've had a lot of beers, dark beers that are like that. We make dark beers in a different style. We make them very balanced, very attenuated, so that they're a little bit drier and not so heavy, like eating a loaf of bread.
As new beers hit the tap room and more spirits are being distilled and barrel-aged, Bartley keeps his eyes on the future.
It'll be expansion. We're operating at pretty close to capacity right now, so we'll be expanding into additional tanks in order to be able to produce enough to keep up with demand. As far as the tap room, who knows? But the distillery as well, we plan on getting that into full speed production, and hopefully the next couple of years we'll be set with this space. I'm not looking forward to the day when we outgrow this space, simply because it's costly to expand or to move somewhere else. But our lease is about 10 years, so we'll be here for a while.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
Nice. Where'd you find the money for that?
I just been saving a little every month.
I can't seem to save anything.
Well, what about all this? What about the money you're spending?
What money? It's gone before I can get my hands on it.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
It's $5.47.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Gabe's Rinkside Bar and Grill in this episode of On Tap. And this food's looking really good. I'm gonna have to get into these fries pretty soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
don't want this to go cold.
Something in the beer culture that has just grown and grown and grown is the rare beer. And the rare beer releases, they're just turning into such an event. And back in the day, I just remember calling around from liquor store to liquor store to liquor stores. Do you have it yet? Do you have it yet? I'm sure they really didn't like me.
They loved you.
Yeah. It has gotten a little easier thanks to Twitter mainly, as liquor stores are tweeting out and breweries are tweeting out when
We have this now,
when
now
stuff's
it's sold out.
available. Yeah. And one of the most sought after beers each year is Founders Kentucky Breakfast Stout. It's delicious. And on the eve of its release this year, the man behind the creation of that beer was right here in Blaine to share more about his story and his beer. Take a look. Founders Brewing Company of Grand Rapids, Michigan is the 17th largest craft brewery in the country and sold nearly 200,000 barrels of beer last year. Much of that success is due to Brewmaster Jeremy Kosmicki. Kosmicki joined the company several years ago working on the packaging line.
It was a rough time. They were not experiencing a whole lot of success. And I was there to learn as much as I could and see what happened. And I stuck around and I kept doing jobs and taking on new responsibilities and worked my way up through.
Soon after, a friend of Kosmicki took over as head brewer at Founders and made Jeremy his assistant brewer. At that point, Founders started to become the well-known and well-respected craft brewery that it is today.
At that point, we started to have an opportunity to change a lot of the recipes and develop some new beers. And things started working. Started getting some interest in the consumers, and it was started getting hot on the internet rating sites, and then all that hype really helped. I took over head brewer in 2005, and we've just been growing ever since, trying to get beer out to the people.
Kosmicki was recently at Northgate Wine and Spirits in Blaine to share his story and some of his beers. Events like this are part of his new gig as Founders Brewmaster.
This is kind of a newer thing for me. Just in the past year, I've gone from head brewer to brewmaster, which means that I got somebody else handling most of the day-to-day stuff back at the brewery, and it's afforded me an opportunity to get out and do more events. I'm still doing all recipe development, but this is part of the gig, and I like to talk to people, tell my story. I got a pretty fun story, and engaging people, and just trying to spread the love.
As is so often the case with craft breweries, there is one release each year that is circled on the calendars of beer nerds for months. For Surly, it's Darkness. For Goose Island, it's Bourbon County Stout. For Founders, it's Kentucky Breakfast Stout.
Well, we had developed the breakfast stout and got our hands on a couple bourbon barrels, and we just thought that was an appropriate beer to try out. It was the first time we tried out in a bourbon barrel. And we loved the flavor combinations, but it was lacking a little bit in the body and the mouthfeel still, so we we basically imperialized the breakfast stout recipe, gave it higher gravity, a little more alcohol, a little more sweetness, and it held up better to the barrel aging, and it seemed to be a hit.
KBS sells out in one day at most stores, which is a far cry from its humble beginnings.
I remember the first year we actually bottled it. It was a very small run. We had, maybe 8 bourbon barrels worth. It sat in our cooler untouched for I don't know, months it seemed like. But once the internet ratings got a hold of it, and it definitely got some hype. And it's a hard thing with hype, a lot to live up to, and it takes a lot of criticism. But in the end, I think it's a good beer, and I'm glad people enjoy it the way they do.
While KBS gets all the notoriety, it's another one of Founders bourbon barrel-aged beers that is my favorite, and Jeremy shared the story of how Backwoods Bastard got its start.
Backwoods came about because we were getting these bourbon barrels in, and at one point we had made as much KBS as we needed, and we had barrels still sitting around, and they were sitting around the brewery. We're like, how are we going to do with these things? And we had some Dirty Bastard, and we're like, I bet that would be a pretty awesome combination. So we filled them up, and wow. I think it's, KBS gets a lot of hype, but I don't know. I think Backwoods it's right up there. I'm surprised it doesn't get it as much as its big brother, but.
Jeremy first started making beer as a home brewer and quickly found his passion that still drives his work today.
I was just coming of drinking age, and I didn't really love your classic American Pilsners, and when I first started trying some craft beers, I was just amazed by the different flavor profiles you could get, and started exploring more. We had Bell's Brewery down, 45 minutes south of us, and they were a big inspiration for me, for sure. yeah, and then just started homebrewing and thought that I had a pretty good palate and knack for putting flavor combinations together. So.
Jeremy knows that the market is much tougher today than when he started at Founders, but his advice to aspiring brewers is quite simple.
The most important thing you can do is make a clean product and focus on standardization and quality. And you know, if your beer will hold up well in the marketplace and not disappoint somebody when they first try, you know, you're gonna have a chance for a second try. And then, you know, if your beer is worthy, if it's delicious, it'll catch on.
And it's safe to say that Jeremy Kosmicki's beer certainly has caught on.
So have you opened your 2015 KBS yet?
I have not. I'm waiting for the right occasion.
What is the right occasion?
You know, I don't know.
Wednesday?
It'll just, yeah, all of a sudden it'll just be like today's KBS day, and I'm gonna stick it in, get it cold, and open it up. But you know, it's special. You know, Jeremy autographed it. It's all up on my shelf. You know, looking all pretty up there. And they have another, even more rare than KBS, is the CBS, which is you basically taking the KBS and then throwing it into barrels that also have maple syrup in them. And we had the opportunity to have that just a couple weeks ago, and that
amazing.
That was delicious.
It was on my beer bucket list
for sure. Yeah, and you know, we've had a great time here at Gabe's, and we're gonna got to get into more of this. And we haven't even gotten to the Molotov cocktail, the Molotov Light here, sitting
the
right
Evil
there.
Twin.
Yeah, from the Evil Twin, and got to get into that as well. But we're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna learn more about Gabe's and also the Four Seasons Curling Club. Stay with us.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Great food in a unique setting.
You can actually be in the restaurant and watch the curling from the floor to ceiling windows.
And it starts a conversation between, you know, different even tables or the server and the people sitting there.
Unique experience to it's different dining experience. You're able to oversee the curling rink. We have fresh homemade foods here, lots of different beers on tap.
It's actually unlike any other place in the country to have the curling and the restaurant in tandem like that. So it's wonderful.
We have Gouda fries on our appetizer menu. Those are really awesome. French fries, Gouda cheese sauce, the Parmesan, bacon bits, and chives.
I think our burgers are great. We've actually gotten a couple like local awards for our burger in the area.
Also our bacon barbecue wrapped shrimp are a big hit.
My favorite thing is probably the chicken and strawberry spinach salad right now for summer.
The shrimp tacos are very good. People enjoy those. We also have pizzas. I really like those. We have a bruschetta pizza, which I like to add chicken to.
We do have a holy cheeseburger, it's called. It has cheese curds, onion straws, Gouda cheese on top. It's really good.
We have paninis, which go through our pizza oven, so they're like a fresh bread wrap. They're quite large, a little messy, but super yummy.
So you can come in and get anything from buffalo wings to a sirloin.
Our beers are changing all the time. We have a lot of different craft beers.
Just, I think people are looking for something different all the time. I mean, just in the last 2 years, it's really gotten big. I mean, it's a learning process for me, too, because I've never paid attention to beer that much, but I'm learning more and more every day.
Evil Twin, Molotov Light. And we have some others, you know, anywhere. Summit, Saga, Big Island Blonde, but they change all the time. And because the curlers really like their beer.
And we do listen to our customers. Like if we know we get multiple requests for certain beers, we will bring it in. Like with the curling leagues, we do have a lot of people that are here on a weekly basis. So we do listen to what they want to drink.
You never know what you're going to walk into when you come here. You can come in the summertime and all of a sudden the men's Great Britain team will be here practicing on their way up to Canada.
You'll see families, you'll see multi-generation teams, you'll see kids as young as 7, you'll see people all the way up into their 80s. So it's a wonderful sport for all ages and all walks of life.
Or we had NBC filming here one time, and it was a match, the USA against China, Japan, and New Zealand. And then they did a 6-part series on the NBC Sports Channel.
We are the National Training Center for USA Curling. So we run a lot of USA Curling events and camps, and we're very proud to be their partners. Well, we feel it's important, and we really enjoy intermeshing with the community and getting to know the people of the community.
You get to know them, and they're like, feel at home. And they're like, a lot of the hockey parents seem to sit down here all the time so they can watch the TVs. That's their spot. Do a lot of fundraisers here, a lot of the sports banquet. And so there's a lot of, you know, Heidi does a lot of donations to the different youth programs too, gift certificates, things like that as well.
For example, we just ran a huge charity tournament called a Pro-Am Bonspiel for the Lupus Foundation of Minnesota. And that's where we had, the top athletes in the nation, as well as Canada, come down here and pair with amateur curlers. So you could have people who were curlers for only a couple of years curl with people who had been curling 30 years and maybe had a gold Olympic medal.
You know, we have the Spring Lake Park Lions. They do a lot of different things. They did a Vikings bingo here, and then all the fundraisers for that went to Hope for Youth, which is in Anoka.
We're always looking to do more. We think it's important to give back, and we just appreciate so much that people want to work together with us in these important causes. It's amazing the outpouring of support that we have received from the Blaine community.
It's entertainment, you know, while you're coming out to dinner. The kids love it. You know, the families come in here, and it's great distraction for the kids to sit and watch it. It's something for them to do there. Lots of kids will have their hands glued right up to the glass.
Every time you're in the Rinkside row that's right adjacent the ice, you can see the looks on people's faces. You can almost read what they're thinking about in terms of the strategy on the ice. You can read the names on the back of the jacket, and you can wave if you want to. It's a lot of fun. It's an interactive sport, and that kind of camaraderie is totally welcome and part of the game.
Well, we are back here at Gabe's Rinkside Bar and Grill enjoying some of this yummy food. Now I'm going to get into this pizza right here. You know, it really is such a unique dining experience. We got the curling right there, and we can just, you know, people playing out there, we can just sit here and watch a curling game while we eat. How was it?
It was a pretty good trip.
Was it good?
Yeah,
was it good? You want another?
I'll wait till we're done here.
All right. And you know, what else I was going to say is we've been on the ice ourselves some too, and it really is a fun time. What do you think? I mean, Danica learned before I did, but I don't know. I might be the better curler now. I'm not sure. I'm pretty good.
I mean, we'll have to find out.
I'm pretty good. Anyways.
Well, we'd like to thank you for watching this episode of On Tap, and we'd also like to thank Bent Brewstillery, Northgate Liquors, Founders Brewing, Gabe's Rinkside, and the Four Seasons Club for letting us tell their stories.
Exactly. And remember, until next time, drink good beer and drink it responsibly.
So you want to go see who wins? One-on-one curling?
I mean, I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm wearing shorts today under this table.
I think that's a good choice.
That might kind of hurt on the ice, but if you want.
If you go on your knee, you can't even keep your leg up, so you're a novice.
For the ice, I could take you down some big buck hunter.
You could never beat me in big buck hunter.
Oh, we'll just see what happens.
This episode of On Tap is brought to you in part by Northgate Wine and Spirits, your friendly neighborhood liquor store with more craft beer than days in the year. Their stores in Blaine, Andover, Woodbury, and Cottage Grove are serving up great customer service. And by Gabe's Rinkside Bar and Grill, offering a diverse menu, full bar, and a very unique dining experience.